This is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song by City and Color called The Girl. It has a really cool arpeggio lick, and we're going to kind of walk through kind of an easier way to strum it first and kind of get to kind of that opening lick by the end of the video. But we're going to kind of end up capoing this on 3rd fret, but we're going to kind of walk through a lot of stuff in root position. So we're going to start on a G major chord, and the way you play G major, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 2nd fret. Second finger is going to go to the low E string on the 3rd fret. Third finger goes to the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really happy. And then from the G major, we're going to be going to an E minor chord. When you play E minor, first finger is going to stay on the A string 2nd fret, and second finger is going to go to the D string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an E minor chord, and it sounds really sad. And then from the E minor, we're going to be going to a C major chord. When we play C major, first finger is going to go to the B string on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string on the 2nd fret, and third finger on the A string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really happy. And actually, we'll talk about some other ways to kind of play some of these chords in a moment. But then from the C, we're going to be going to a D major chord. When we play D major, first finger is going to go to the G string on the 2nd fret, second finger is going to go to the high E on the 2nd fret, third finger is going to go to the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you kind of strum just the D, G, B, and E, kind of the skinny 4 strings, that sounds a D major chord, and it sounds really happy. And then from the D, we're going to be going back to our G major, and then doing another G major. And that chord progression actually is kind of for our verse and chorus. Actually, we kind of mix it up a little bit, and for our bridge part. A lot of times with a song like this, though, especially if you're just starting out, it's good to have just a really good 4/4 pattern just to kind of work your voice. And one of my favorite patterns is a down, down, up, up, down, up. So if we tried that on the G, we'd have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So we try that through our verse chorus progression. We'd have G with a down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, up. Now there are a couple places though where it almost sounds like there's some chords that kind of lead into other chords. So another way to kind of work this, and this is kind of weird, but it kind of relates to that opening lick we're going to talk about in a moment. But you'd have G major, and a lot of times on a G chord, actually, you've got kind of bass notes that you could add to the chords. So for instance, on the G, you've got the low E string for kind of a bass note, and if you wanted to, you could even kind of add that into your down, down, up, down, so you do the bass. Down, up, down, to the bass, down, up, down. And on the E minor chord, you've got the low E string for your bass. And when you get to the C, you've got an A string for the bass. And what you're playing is kind of the root of the chord, or the note name of the chord. So on the D chord, we're playing a D note for our bass note. So the D with the D bass. That just went into one of those really cool chords we should talk about. Now there are a couple other voicings for G major actually, and through the tune actually, some of these voicings kind of get added and subtracted through some of the melody line that happens. And so if you wanted to on the G major, you could do first finger on the A string 2nd fret, second finger on the low E string on the 3rd fret, third finger on the B string on the 3rd fret, and the pinky on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those, that's still a G major chord. So that the only note that really changes actually is kind of that E string from the open to the 3rd fret. And you'll kind of hear that in the melody part actually, in the fingerstyle part, is that O, 3, O. So we're going to kind of play around with that voicing for G. And then on the E minor, you can play an E minor 7. When we play E minor 7, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 2nd fret, second finger on the D string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the B string on the 3rd fret, and the pinky on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those, that sounds an E minor 7. And sometimes instead of a C major, actually I'll use something called C major 9. The way you play C major 9. First finger is going to go to the D string on the 2nd fret, second finger on the A string 3rd fret, third finger on the B string 3rd fret, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd fret. And that sounds a C major 9 chord, and it sounds really happy. And randomly in the tune actually, especially when we start fingerstyling, actually we'll kind of have that C major. And what kind of happens for the D chord actually is if we take the C major shape and slide it over 2 frets. So now I got first finger on the B string 3rd, second finger on the D string 4th, third finger on the A string 5th. That sounds something I would call D add 4, D major 11, or it's kind of a D major 9. But that voicing for the D actually kind of gets used. And what's kind of cool on the C chord too, another way you could kind of play the C major 9 would be taking the C, and actually, if you just looked off the first finger, actually, that's another C chord you may want to play around with called C major 7. And if you took the pinky from where you are and put it on the B string 3rd fret, that's another way to play C major 9. So you could even work melody lines around the C chord with that. And that doesn't really happen in the tune, but it can be cool to kind of play around with. And then on this D major, actually, sometimes this does kind of happen, like where you've got kind of the 4th finger that gets added in on the B string on the 5th fret. From the first melody notes. So you could kind of use some of those other voicings. So if we tried that with our bass down, up, down, up, you'd have G with the bass, down, down, G with the bass, down, down, you run the low bass, down, down, you run the low bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with the D bass, or an A bass if you're doing the C major voice, and then G with low bass, G with low bass. Now there's some cool bass notes you can use to lead into some of the chords too. So on the low E string, a lot of times from that G 3rd fret, a lot of times that 2nd fret on the low E string, that F sharp note, gets used to point to E minor. And it almost sounds for a moment like a D/F sharp chord. And there's a couple ways you could kind of play this. What that means is a D major but with an F sharp in the bass. So if you took the D we started with and kind of put your thumb over the top, that would then kind of add that note in. Another way is to kind of use all 4 fingers. So you can put 1st finger on the low E string 2nd, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd, 3rd finger on the high E 2nd, pinky on the B string 3rd. That would be another way to play D/F sharp. Now because of the drone voicings we're using, what you may want to think about is from the G, you could put 1st finger on the low E 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, leaving the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E 3rd. And that's something called D/F sharp. So you may want to think about using on that 2nd G chord, kind of using that D/F sharp or D/F sharp to lead into the E minor. And you can almost kind of use the E minor or the E minor 7 to a D sus, which is kind of cool actually, or just the D major. D sus is where you take the D major and you put the pinky on the high E string on the 3rd. Sometimes I kind of play around with that too on D chords. Actually, it's kind of adding and subtracting. That D sus 2 is where you lift off the 2nd finger. So on D chords in general, that can be very, very cool kind of thing to try. But you can almost use the D chord to point to the C chord and then lead into the D chord. So if you wanted to kind of play around with that, it would be like doing a down, down, up on those chords, like halving them when you get to it. And so if we tried that through our verse, we'd have G with a down, down, up, down, G, down, down, D, down, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, D, down, down, C, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down. Now later on in the tune, it almost sounds like there's some strumming that kind of happens. And when that comes in, actually, if you wanted to play around with this drum pattern too, it's kind of a down, up, down, up, down. So it's filling in a little bit more than the down, down, up, down, up. So we got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we tried that actually, then you kind of have your down, ups for those halving parts. You can try it that way. So you have G with a down, down, G, down, down, D/F sharp, E minor. So G with a bass, up, down, G with a bass, up, down, D with a F sharp, down, E minor, D, C, D, G. And then later on, actually, when that part comes in and kind of the return of that, the very, very end of the music video, actually, it's kind of a down, down, up, down, if you get used on that pattern. Into that and have kind of bass down, up, down, bass down, up, down, bass down, up, down, bass down, up, down. And you could do kind of the halving ones, just kind of bass downs to kind of keep that feel. So if you tried it that way, you'd have G with a bass down, up, down, G with a bass down, up, down, oh, I forgot to make my move. So G with a bass down, up, down, G, bass down, D/F sharp, E minor, D, that chord progression that we were just talking about kind of come into play with our fingerstyle intro. And this is a little weird, but if you kind of took your right hand, the basic pattern that we're kind of working with, and this is weird because in the video you'll see him kind of strum it, and actually you can kind of take this pattern and then work that as kind of a strum tune. We'll talk about that. But the main pattern is the thumb becomes the bass player for what we were doing, and the index finger kind of gets locked on the G string. The D string also gets to kind of play some D notes, and I'm kind of going with kind of a interesting, there are other ways to make this work for the right hand, I guess is what I'm thinking. But the main thing with the thumb is kind of playing the G string, or the low E string for the G note, and then going to the open D string, at least at the very, very beginning. And then the index finger gets locked on the G string, middle finger goes to the B string. And your basic arpeggio through a lot of it is going to be thumb, index, thumb on the D string, middle on the B string. So you're going low E, G, D, B, low E, G, D, G, B is kind of an arpeggio around the G chord. So since we're not playing the high E string with the right hand, you don't really have to worry about that too much with the other fingers. Although what's kind of cool is right after that first part, then we kind of do that same idea, but add in the 3rd fret on the B string, and which is kind of a cool idea. And that actually kind of gets broken up a different way, where you go thumb to middle, and then thumb, and then middle again. So it'd be kind of thumb, middle, like working the open. So you got 3, O, 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 3, 3, O, O, and then we kind of start that over again with that 3, O, O, O. And then this is kind of cool, it's that moving bass line from the G to the D, to the F sharp to lead into the E minor, is you can do the low E string on the 3rd fret, and then open G, and then 2nd fret on the low E string, and then index on the D, and then go into the E minor chord for kind of that same idea. And this gets varied through the tune, but yeah, this works. You can go open E, and with the thumb, index for the G string, D string, and then open B, and then you could actually kind of throw that lick in. If you kind of dig on this, you could kind of do that open to 3rd, and then the D string 2nd, open B, or you could do the open D even on that. Let's see. Yeah. So you could go open E, open G, 2nd on the D, open B, and then low E, and then 3rd fret on the B string, and then 2nd fret on the D is kind of part of the E minor, and open B. And then we kind of do that same part again. We got open E, index for the G string, D string, 2nd fret, and then open B. And then if you wanted to, you could kind of get a little move for the E, D to move by going open E and then open G, open D, and then open G. And then we'd be going into the C chord, kind of working that same arpeggio idea. We're going thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle, kind of around the C chord. So kind of locking it into that kind of A, G, D, B string kind of idea. And then from there you could kind of take the C chord, and on that first thumb note on the A string, you could kind of slide that up to the D add 4 idea. And then you could do the open G, and then D string, B string, and kind of parallel that arpeggio to the C, although we should talk about some ornaments for that too. And then from there you'd be back into kind of that G arpeggio, kind of like the beginning, but then at the end we kind of do a G to the F sharp. So it's almost like you're kind of implying an F sharp or D/F sharp for just a moment. So all together you got 3 O O 3 3 O O 3 O O O 3 O 2 O O 2 O O 3 2 O 2 O 2 O O O 3 O 2 1 3 O 2 1 3 5 slide O 4 3 throughout O 4 3, and then back to the 3 O O 3 3 O O 3 O O 3 O 2 O. Just kind of working that through it. So going G, G, D, B, G, D, D, B, G, G, D, B, G, G, F sharp, G, E, G, E, B, E, D, E, B, E, G, E, B, E, G, D, G, C, G, E, C, C, G, C, E, C, C, D, G, F sharp, D, D, G, F sharp, D, G, G, D, B, G, D, D, B, G, G, D, B, G, G, F sharp, G. Now that kind of happens pretty quick through the tune. So that could kind of take a little bit of effort to kind of work that through. And actually it's not exactly what he's playing, because one thing that's kind of happening through that part in the song actually is kind of ornaments, actually. And what an ornament is where you kind of do a hammer-on or a pull-off to kind of ornament that. So actually even that very first idea with the third fret on the B string is kind of like a little ornament to the G chord, even though it's really kind of a chord tone. But you could even on the G string, for instance, do hammer-ons into the second fret or the second fret on the D when you hit that note. So that could be kind of an interesting thing to kind of play around with. So on that first chord, I'm kind of going low E, G string, D string, hammer-on, and then the open B, and kind of throwing it in as kind of an ornament to that chord. So you could kind of work that kind of idea through the tune. On the E minor, you could kind of do that D string hammer-on from open to second, so kind of ornamenting the chord. And if we took that idea and kind of worked it through the C chord even, and this definitely happens a lot on the D chord, where when you hit that D string, you're doing open B, hammer-on to 4, and he gets really excited. I love this guy. But at one point, you kind of work almost like a repeated idea of that on the D. So you could kind of work that as almost like a little D lick in and of itself to kind of lead back to the G. So it might be kind of cool to kind of just try throwing in ornaments in different places. And the video, what it looks like is kind of happening is he's kind of working that finger pattern, but it's almost like the bass has become almost like a bass strum. So I don't know if you want to play around with the thumb strum. So you might want to try that, like kind of taking your thumb and trying to work it as a strum thing. Food for thought. But anyway, so you may want to throw that in too, and that kind of works up through the whole tune actually. And the only time it really changes is when we get to our bridge part. Now our bridge part, actually, our chord progression kind of change. So we go to E minor, and then we go to C, and then we go to a D, and then we go back to G, and then we go to E minor, C, D, D, E minor, ways you could work that through that bridge part. So you could kind of have just the down, down, up, and we have E minor, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, B, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, C, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, B, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, B, down, down, up, down, B, you could try throwing in your basses. You might bass down, up, down to the bass, down, up, down to the A bass, down, up, down to the bass, and you can even use that F sharp a bit if you wanted to kind of lead in it, just like we're doing with the other part. Do the D bass down, up, down, or you can vary the strum pattern a little bit. It might be kind of a cool thing too. So try the bass down, up, down, up, bass down, up, down, bass, C, A bass down, up, down to the D bass down. That down, up, down, up, up, down. So we have bass up, down, C, bass up, down, 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 up, and then, or even bass down, up, down, up. Then you have bass down, up, down, C, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, C, bass down, up, down, La, bass down, up, down, C, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, bass down, up, down, B, R, bass down, up, down, C, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, C, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, B, bass down, up, down, up. Although in the recording, it sounds more like you would take kind of your fingerstyle licks for the E minor part, the C and the D and the G, and kind of use those for your chord progression for the bridge. So E minor, C, D, E minor, C, D. Play around with those too. And then we kind of go back into kind of our verse chorus to kind of end the tune, and actually we hear where they kind of break a string right after this, a C and a D, which is terrible. It's an awful break string. But that's the basics of how you could strum through and fingerstyle The Girl by City and Color. So good luck!